England is often spoken of as if it were a permanent fixture of history, something that has always existed. In reality, England is a relatively young nation when compared to the land it occupies, and its creation was neither simple nor inevitable. Its story is frequently overshadowed by the later formation of Great Britain and the United Kingdom, yet those unions could never have existed without England first taking shape. The Kingdom of England, as historians generally recognize it, emerged in 927 AD, but its roots stretch back centuries earlier through conquest, collapse, invasion, and survival. To understand how England was created, we must begin at a time when the island had no England at all. When the Roman Empire began withdrawing from Britain in the early 5th century, it left behind a power vacuum. Roman administration, military protection, and infrastructure slowly faded, and the once organized province fractured into vulnerable territories. The native Romano-British population now faced persistent threats from the north. Raids by the Picts and Scots destabilized the region and overwhelmed local defenses. In desperation, some British leaders turned to foreign warriors from across the North Sea for help. These warriors were Germanic tribes, Angles, Saxons, and Jutes, who arrived as mercenaries. At first, they served their intended purpose. They fought back the Picts and Scots and secured coastal regions. But their success came at a cost. Instead of leaving, the newcomers settled. More migrants followed. Before long, the Germanic tribes turned against the Britons themselves, seizing land and imposing their own rule. By the early 7th century, Anglo-Saxon authority dominated much of the region that would become England. The land fractured into several competing kingdoms, including Kent, Essex, Sussex, East Anglia, Mercia, Northumbria, and Wessex. These kingdoms were independent, often hostile toward one another, and frequently engaged in warfare for dominance. Alliances shifted constantly, borders changed, and kings rose and fell with alarming speed. England, at this stage, was not a nation. It was a battleground. For centuries, these kingdoms coexisted in an uneasy tension. Records from this period are scarce, but it is clear that no single power could permanently dominate the others. That fragile balance would be shattered at the end of the 8th century by a new and terrifying force. In 793, Viking raiders attacked the monastery at Lindisfarne. The raid shocked the Anglo-Saxon world, not only because of its brutality, but because it targeted a sacred Christian site. This was not a one-time event. Over the following decades, Viking raids turned into full-scale invasions. Armies from Denmark and Norway arrived not just to plunder, but to conquer and settle. By the late 9th century, Anglo-Saxon resistance was collapsing. East Anglia fell first. Mercia soon followed. Northumbria was taken shortly after. One by one, the great Anglo-Saxon kingdoms disappeared under Viking rule. By 885, only Wessex remained independent, a final stronghold against total domination. When the King of Wessex died, leadership passed to his younger brother, Alfred, a man who inherited a kingdom on the brink of destruction. At first, Alfred struggled. Viking forces overwhelmed Wessex, forcing him into hiding. For a time, survival depended on diplomacy, paying off Viking leaders to buy precious time. But Alfred did not intend to surrender his kingdom. Eventually, Alfred reorganized his forces, built fortified towns, and restructured his army. His efforts culminated in the Battle of Edington, where the Viking army was decisively defeated. This victory did not expel the Vikings entirely, but it halted their advance. A treaty divided the land. Part remained under Anglo-Saxon control, while the rest became the Danelaw, governed by Viking customs and rulers. Crucially, Alfred did something no king before him had achieved. He stabilized Anglo-Saxon rule. When Mercia lost its king soon after, Alfred took control, appointing a loyal noble rather than creating a rival monarch.
For the first time, large portions of the land were governed under a single authority. After Alfred's death, his son Edward the Elder continued his father's mission. Alongside his sister, Aethelflaed, who ruled Mercia, Edward launched systematic campaigns against the Danelaw. Fortresses were built, armies advanced steadily, and Viking territories fell one by one. East Anglia was reclaimed. Mercian lands expanded northward. Even York, a major Viking stronghold, submitted without battle. When Aethelflaed died, Mercia was absorbed into Edward's realm. By 924, nearly all Anglo-Saxon territories were united under one ruler. This unity passed to Edward's son, Aethelstan, who would take the final step toward nationhood. Aethelstan captured Northumbria and secured control of York, making him the first ruler to command all the major English regions. He referred to himself as the King of the English, and many historians mark his reign as the true birth of England. Yet the kingdom was still fragile.
In 937, a massive alliance formed against Aethelstan. Scots, Vikings, and Britons united in an attempt to destroy English dominance. The two sides met at the Battle of Brunanburh, one of the bloodiest conflicts in early British history. Though the exact location is unknown, the outcome is clear. Aethelstan's forces emerged victorious. The battle did not expand England's borders, but it cemented its identity. For the first time, the English saw themselves as a single people defending a shared homeland. Despite this victory, England's stability remained uncertain. Viking rulers returned after Aethelstan's death, reclaiming Northumbria and destabilizing the realm. Successive kings fought to regain lost land, and Northumbria changed hands multiple times. Internal conflict, assassinations, and rival claims threatened to undo decades of progress. Eventually, English authority prevailed once again. By the mid-10th century, the kingdom was reunified. Under Edgar the Peaceful, England finally experienced lasting stability. Edgar respected regional traditions, preserved Danish laws where necessary, and focused on governance rather than conquest. His reign established administrative systems, legal structures, and unity that endured beyond his lifetime. The creation of England was not a single event, but a long and uncertain process. It emerged through centuries of migration, warfare, invasion, and reconquest. Only after surviving collapse, foreign rule, and internal division did England finally solidify into a unified kingdom. What began as scattered settlements became a nation, one forged not by destiny, but by resilience.